I'm convinced that going to Umrah is better than monk mode or any self-development methods out there. 5 days ago, I came back from my first Umrah, and for the non-Muslims watching this video, what is Umrah? It's actually a spiritual experience that we as Muslims take. We go to Mecca, we visit the Kaaba, and we have this spiritual journey of forgiveness and seeking Allah's closeness. But in this video, I want to share deeper reflections that I made when I was doing my Umrah. And I want to connect the dots and show you how Umrah is better than all of the self-improvement tactics out there, because I tried all of them. And that's the gift that I got myself from my first Umrah. Anyways, I want to share this deeper reflections that I made rather than focusing on the physical acts of Umrah. I wanted to see the deep stuff behind the Umrah, like the spiritual transformation that someone goes through. And I want to make a disclaimer, I'm not a scholar, this is just my own tadabbur, this is my own contemplation on this whole Umrah. And I'm more than happy to hear any feedback from those of you who are deeper into this material. But an Umrah contains a few things that every Muslim has to go through. Where the first step of the Umrah is entering Ihram. Ihram is when you just wear two white towels, nothing else. And what I wrote here in my own tadabbur is that when you wear ihram, which is just two white towels and nothing else, you leave your current identity. This is the first step towards the change, which is to sort of remove the identity. And when you are in ihram, there is no status. You don't know who is a billionaire, you don't know who is smart, you don't know who is a scholar, you don't know anything. Everyone is the same, just two white towels. There is no me when you're in ihram. You leave your identity. That is the first part, which is the first obligatory act to enter ihram when you do Umrah or Hajj. And how I see entering ihram and why this is the best thing for change is because you leave your current identity. Then, with these two white towels, it's like a controlled death, because you simulate your current death by quote unquote killing your current self, your current beliefs, everything. Because we all come here naked, barefoot. That's how we come to this world, and that's how we live. And in this ihram entrance, we simulate our death. Of course, the death of the identity, the death of our character, and that's the first step toward any change, as you're probably familiar with all of this uh, self-improvement terms. And when you simplify all of the stimulus, like all of the environmental stimulus, everything becomes simpler and your brain enters a state of plasticity, which means you can change easily because there are no fancy environmental stimulus. Everyone is the same. It's just you in two white towels. Simplified, you leave your current identity. And second, when everything is simpler, you're more likely to change because your brain plasticity, scientifically speaking, changes. Then the next thing from your Umrah is the niyah, which is the intention in simpler English term. Here's when you choose the direction. From quantum physics, systems that are in simple states are more likely to change because they're easier to change. The more complex a system is, the less likely it is to change. So when you enter ihram and you make the sort of niyah, when you make the intention, you simplify everything towards one thing, which is you being on a spiritual journey to change your entire self. Then, when we go to Umrah, we have this thing, Talbiya, and instead of me reciting it, I'm just going to let my camel friend do the Talbiya for you. For those of you who are not aware, what is it? Talbiya is, I would call it identity change, where you are shifting your current frequency by saying these words. Let me just put it. So that's the whole talbiyah and how it sounds in Arabic, but an English translation to this is that, oh Allah, we accepted your invite. I'm here. I'm here. There is no other God. It's only you. Like that's how it can be translated. And the whole talbiyah and why it is important is because you change your frequency, and by you repeating this statement like many times when you are in ihram and when you go to Mecca, with this sort of consistent remindance, when you consistently repeat this, you calibrate yourself into the frequency of oneness, the frequency of one God, which is La ilaha illallah. And that's how we see this talbiyah and why it's important. You enter ihram, then you make the niyah, which is the intention, and then when you make the intention, you consistently calibrate yourself with the talbiyah. In ihram, we have things that are forbidden, because these forbidden things are all of our, I would call them human instincts, like the instinct for hunt, like hunting is forbidden in ihram. Uh, Anything when it comes to making yourself look fancy, like we humans have this desires, aggression is forbidden. Sexual acts, anything related to this is forbidden, because we stop all of our base human instincts so we can actually enter this higher frequency, which is the frequency of the divine, or yeah, that's how we will call it. Then these are like the entrance and the first step of the Umrah. When we go to Umrah, then we start with the Tawaf, which is going around Kaaba, or this, like for those of you who are not Muslims, you're not familiar with this. Tawaf is basically making circles around this big black square that you see probably on the internet. And when we make tawaf, it's a specific number. We have to make 7 circles around the Kaaba. And what I wrote here is that when we make tawaf, we are centralizing ourselves to this higher frequency. Because everything in the universe is not a chaos. Everything operates in a specific order. Like all of the galaxies, they have one center. The atom itself has center. Everything has centers, and if you just go on the internet and basically look some images of galaxies or images of atoms, you can see how they have a center and everything goes around them. And with the tawaf, we do something similar. We have a center, which is the Kaaba, and in fact, Kaaba itself is placed in a specific location. Like if you just look at Kaaba, the coordinates, you can see how the coordinates of Kaaba are exactly the center of the earth. It's related to the Fibonacci number. I won't go in depth, but you can just search if you're curious to see that. So we tend to make these circles around this in order to center ourselves. And we make 7 tawafs, as I mentioned, because there are 7 skies. Like in all religions, we have 7 skies, we have 7 days, we have 7 nights, and 7 symbolize one full cycle. The first cycle is the beginning. The second one is the one where you remove your identity. The third one is where you are moving. The fourth is the structure. The fifth cycle is the change. The sixth one is the balance, and the second one is the full cycle where you finalize everything. Of course, this is just my reflection to the numbers. It's not like it's a specific thing, but that's how I see them. Because with the seven from numerology, I'm not saying that I believe in numerology, but it symbolizes, I would say, oneness. It symbolizes this sort of centralization that we are looking for. And that's also how psychological change happens. For example, if you are in self-improvement, if you read a lot of mindset and psychological work, you know that for you to change psychologically, you first have to shock yourself, which is the first, I would say, cycle. Then you have to mm, detach yourself from your current identity. The third cycle is the battle that you fight, because change is not an easy thing. The fourth cycle is the adaptation. Then the fifth cycle is you learning this new character traits that you want to integrate in yourself. The sixth one is the integration itself, and the second one and the seventh one is basically your whole identity and how it's changed. Then when we do Umrah to start the Tawaf, we have the black stone, which is more like, I see this, of course this is just my reflections again. The black stone is the contract that you make, which is like a physical gestures that says, I'm here to change. And this black stone is not spiritual, it's not special. The black stone is just a marker for this change, because to begin your tawaf or to begin your cycles around Kaaba, you start with touching the black stone, or if you can't, you basically kiss it from distance, and then you begin doing the cycles. So physically, it symbolizes this fixation that I start my change here. Then, when we complete our tawaf, we pray two rakah, which is this, which symbolized integration. Once you complete all of your du'as that you made throughout your tawafs, throughout your circles, then in order for you to integrate and to make this change long lasting, you want to quote unquote integrate it somehow. And the two rakats after the tawafs symbolize the integration. That's how we see this. After that, we have Sai, which is you going from two hills, Sai and Marwa. So you tend to basically run in between those two hills. And how we see that, because there is also a deeper story and a long story behind Sai, where uh, the wife of Abraham, as it's known in the Christian and Judaism tradition, or Ibrahim alayhi salam, his wife was left in the desert with a child alone, no water, nothing, no food. And this is when Gabriel or Jibreel alayhi salam came here and uh, show her where she can find water. Because before that, Ibrahim alayhi salam wife Hajar was running in between these hills. And how we see this running is that this running symbolize you when you change, because when you're about to make a psychological change in your whole identity, you're not certain. Like, you go between uncertainty, certainty, you're in doubt. And this running symbolize how you're lost before you get this new identity, before you integrate this new identity. You're lost because that's a new thing that you're experiencing. And the sigh is the hope. The marwa is the fear. So you run in between hope and fear, praying to Allah for you to change and make this a long lasting change. And then for you to complete your umrah, you finish with shaving your head. And now I can easily connect the dots between shaving your head to self-improvement that all of us are aware of. You have seen this trend of monk mode where everyone is shaving their heads, they follow a certain protocol. And why shaving your head is important is because by you shaving your head, you leave your old identity. your old character traits, and you become a new person. Like this shaving symbolize change. And the last step of the Umrah is basically this shaving that we do. And I see this as the step that we cement the change. Like we went through all of the spiritual journey with living our identity, with the integration, calibrating our frequencies, making du'as, praying to Allah, wanting or seeking forgiveness, wanting certain things in the dunya, which is this life, in the akhirah, in the hereafter. We make our du'as. Then for us to change and become a new person after this umrah, we have to change. And the best way to change is by removing part of you, which can be your hair, and now you are a completely new person. And that's my own tadabbur or my contemplation. I'm not saying this is the right thing, but that's what I'm thinking of and how Umrah connects to self improvement and why it's way better because Islam has all of the answers. You don't need psychology, you don't need mindset work, you don't need philosophical movements to follow. You just need Islam because Islam has everything. You just have to sit down and think. All of this tadabbur that I made was in the 10 days I was in Mecca and in Medina. Because I was not working with my business, I actually had time to think and reflect. And honestly, this whole journey was incredible because you just live your day-to-day life. It's you and Allah, nothing else. And you connect to this higher power, the divine, and then you make a lot of valuable realization about your own life. And I'm convinced that Umrah is way better than self-improvement because in the last 5 days, I noticed a huge change in my own life. Just 5 days. And this is just the beginning. Allah is about to answer all of my duas that I made there. I'm the one who takes the steps and He leads me towards better future. My favorite hadith, tie your camel and put your trust in Allah. Do the work and let Allah do the rest. Complete the umrah, leave the outcome to Allah because He is the best of planners.